Okay, so John and I have got a double act today. Our talk is on the MPN Voice objectives for 2024 and beyond. So our objectives, there are three key objectives which are actually drawn from our original MPN Voice mission statement. And that is to provide information, community and advocacy for MPN patients, their families and carers, and healthcare professionals. Looking at the three in particular, the first, providing a source of professionally backed information. And we do this primarily through our website and from the production and supply of leaflets obtainable as direct downloads from our website or in printed form. Secondly, building and facilitating our MPN community through our in-person and online MPN forums, buddy support, Health Unlocked, and our relatively new social media activities, which we are actively communicating via Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, to name a few. And then finally, advocates for patients affected by this rare group of blood cancers. So, meeting the expectations. Our objectives, these are discussed and agreed by the MPN Voice management team. There's roughly 10 of us. But obviously we don't do that in isolation. And in 2022, we undertook an MPN Voice patient survey where we checked our priorities with you, the community. So we conducted this online survey in which 699 of you participated, so thank you for that, amazing. And highlights from this were that participants believed that MPN Voice provides a large amount of medically underpinned, up-to-date information, which is good to hear, that can have a direct benefit on those that are affected by MPNs. However, the survey results suggested that the services and information provided by MPN Voice are not always known or accessed. MPN Voice provides services to a diverse age range that is increasingly getting younger. It is difficult to communicate information and changes to this range effectively. And finally, 86% of the respondents suggested that using an app to track blood counts, treatments, and access tips on disease management would be helpful. So, based with that in mind, we've set some new objectives, which actually started in 23, but obviously will continue to 24 and beyond. And we've already heard about the app development, so that was started at the beginning of this year. It's been a wish for a while, but based on the results of the survey, it's been accelerated, and the production of the app has been truly remarkable with the help of Mathias Health. And the name of the MPN app, as you know, is My MPN Voice. The second major objective, which of course is ongoing, but there are some new specifics for 24, is advocacy, and John will touch on that in a moment. MPN Voice website. That's continually being updated as we go along, but we did a major refresh just over 3 years ago now. But it is beginning to get tired, and as technology changes, it's recognised that we need to give that a good uplift yet again. And whilst we haven't started, there is a focus on that, and that will be led by Ellis. And research programme sponsorship. So we had last year an objective of providing £70,000 per annum in support of research projects, and we've heard about some of those already, but John will again touch on that. Young MPN patient focus. Well, we've heard a lot from Ellis already on that, and what she does is truly remarkable. But we have obviously upped the priority on this, and Ellis now sits on the management team. And obviously, as a committee, we would do what we can to help move this one forward. And then supporting educational needs of clinical staff So we have an additional fund which will provide grants of up to £1,500 per applicant from what we call our Fiona's Fund. So at this point, oh no, that's still me. So
I'll do this bit.
no, that's all right. So our objectives, therefore, oh no, this is your bit, John. Sorry, over to John now. Sorry.
Well done, Tim. Thank you very much. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the app. Patrick introduced it earlier, and he actually showed you a few screenshots. This isn't supposed to be a sort of a big description of what to expect when the app is finally released, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. I'll talk about the objectives in a second. I'm going to talk a bit about what we're doing in advocacy this coming year, and we'll also talk more about the research program. So the idea of the app is basically to be a one-stop shop, one place to go to get information, essentially the same type of stuff that we get from the leaflets and from the website and from social media, but one place to go to get all of that. But on top of that, it becomes a way of managing your individual disease, because it's the place where you will record what it's like to be living with an MPN, as well as your wearable device, tracking some of those sort of other health-related bits of information, all feeding into this little database on the app. It becomes another method of you managing your disease, as well as being a source of information. It says here to empower MPN patients to easily record and recall information. Well, that's pretty much what I just said. And to increase the quality of life of people infected by MPNs by wearing an FDA-approved wearable device. Anyway, so the app's going to be lots of really good things. Here we go. Another couple of screenshots. You're going to see a lot more of this stuff over the coming months. Okay, we're in the final testing phase now, and I believe outside there's a way of registering an interest. So we've got the form being waved at me up there. So before you go home today, if you're interested in getting involved in the next phase of the app rollout, please register your interest, and you'll be sent a link so that you can download it ahead of it being more generally available. So like I say, we're in the final testing phase now. So as I think I've mentioned, and I think Patrick said earlier, it will be a way of tracking symptoms on a daily basis, and it will record health data from the wearable. And we aim to make it the kind of the primary platform for interacting with MPN Voice. So, for instance, I know a lot of you are very actively involved with Health Unlocked. So Health Unlocked will be completely integrated into the app itself, so you'll be able to use the app to either read posts or to make posts or to comment on other people's posts on Health Unlocked. And I think the thing that Patrick was highlighting is the ability for the app and the devices, etc., to provide information that will support ongoing MPN research. So by using the app and by wearing the device, you will actively be participating in the development of understanding of the diseases and the development of new treatments. So I think it's a really powerful thing that we're trying to create here, and I'd encourage as many people as possible to get involved in that. I said I'd talk about our research program. Tim's being the money man, told us that we could have £70,000 to spend on medical research related to MPNs, and so we ring-fenced that money at the beginning of this year, and we essentially went out to the clinical community and said, well, if you've got a project that you think will actively help MPN patients and importantly is not the type of project that would typically be undertaken by the pharma industry. If you've got a project like that, come to MPN Voice and we think we may be able to help you. So we're in the phase now where we've received just over half a dozen proposals from various parts of the UK for projects that we can fund. We're in the process now of looking at all of those projects, seeing if they meet our criteria, and seeing which ones that we would like to support. And we're, like I say, we're in the last phases of that, and the sort of the approved projects will be getting publicised to you guys as early as we can. It should be in the next few weeks or months. Okay, next bit. Advocacy. So this is my job within MPN Voice. So there's a small group of volunteers who work with me on this, notably Andy Tattersall, who can't be with us today, Mike Jacobs, who has recently come on board with the team. Patrick mentioned the fact earlier that NICE has recently approved ruxolitinib for PV patients after a very long and convoluted kind of process that we went through with NICE. We finally managed to get that approved at a few months ago. Upcoming, NICE are looking at momelotinib, and the committee meeting for that is going to be in January. We're going to be representing the MPN community at that meeting. And we're hoping that the new form of interferon, Besremi, is going to be made available more widely. The SMC in Scotland have already taken a look at it. I think the company involved still needs to do some work on their pricing in order to get that approved in Scotland. In Ireland, it's going to be looked at next year, we hope. And maybe NICE will have a look at it at some point as well. These drugs are really, really expensive. And I don't think it would be right for me to be talking to a group of patients here with some representatives of the industry in the room as well, if I didn't say that the number one way that these drugs can get approved more rapidly is the price. Okay? So we do our level best to explain to committees in NICE, in SMC, and in the NCPE about explaining what it's like to live with these diseases, about explaining the benefits of the new therapies, but they're really expensive, and it's there are different ways to win that argument, and I think I need to sort of emphasise that point. So as I say, I mean, I think our number one thing that we aim to do in advocating for the MPN patient community is to explain that there are therapies for all of these diseases, but when those therapies start to come to the end of their effectiveness or whatever, there are quite limited options for us still. And the number one thing that I think we can do in terms of therapeutic advances is provide further options for patients when the first-line therapy reaches the end of its usefulness or reaches the end of its tolerance. So I think that's the message that we try to get over when we're advocating for the patient community in the coming year or two. Okay. That's about it. Okay, that's enough from us this morning. Thank you very much for listening.